scrunched beneath my boots as we walked towards the Kimbe's house, which is only 15 minutes away. I adored, I adored, I adored, I adored, I adored, I adored fall and everything that came with it. The cozy closets, the riot of the earthy colors on the street, the hint of cinnamon and smoke in the air. In Anthenberg, I wouldn't be able to walk down the street without getting mobbed. But that was the best thing that about Toya. Its student population boasted of so many royals and celebrities' offspring. A princess was no big deal. I could live my life like a relatively known college girl. I don't know much about the new guard. He's a contractor. My eyebrows shot up. Really? The crown sometimes hired private security contractors to serve alongside the royal guard, but it was rare. In my 21 years, I have never had a bodyguard who was a contractor. It's supposed to be the best, Booth said, mistaking my surprise for weariness. Ex-Navy SEAL, top-notch recommendations, experience guarding high-profile personalities. He is his company's most sought-after professional. An American guard. Interesting. I do hope we get along. When two people were around each other 24/7, compatibility mattered a lot, and I knew people wouldn't have meshed well with their security details, and those arrangements never lasted long. I'm sure you will. You're easy to get along with, Your Highness. You're only saying that because I'm your boss. Technically, the director of the Royal Guard is my boss. I wagged a playful finger at him. Back talking already. I'm disappointed. He laughed despite his insisting on calling me Your Highness, which settled with a casual camaraderie over the years that I appreciated. Excessive formalities exhausted me. We chatted about Booth's impending fatherhood and moved on to back to loiter for the rest of the walk. He was near bursting with pride over his unborn child, and I couldn't help but a small stab of envy. I was nowhere near ready for marriage and kids, but I wanted what Booth and his wife had. Love, passion, choice, things no amount of money could buy. A jerk's mic touched my lips, and no doubt I sounded like an ungrateful brat to anyone who could hear my thoughts, but I could get any material thing I desired with a snap of my fingers, and I was whining about love, 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 love. But people were people, no matter their titles, and their desires were universal. Unfortunately, the ability to fulfill them was not. Maybe I would fall in love with a prince who'd sweep me off my feet, but I doubted it. Most likely I'd end up in a boring, socially acceptable marriage with a boring, socially acceptable man who only had a sex missionary style and vacationed in the same two places every year. I pushed the depressing thought aside. I had a long way to go before I could even thought about marriage. I'd cross that bridge when I got there. My house came into sight. My eyes landed onto unfamiliar black BMW idling in the driveway. I assumed he belonged to the new bodyguard. He was early, Booth stated. He's not supposed to arrive until 5. Punctuality is a good sign. Though half an hour early might be an overkill. The door opened, and a large book planted itself on the driveway. A second later, the biggest man I'd ever seen in real life unfolded himself from the front seat. My mouth turned dry. Holy hotness. My new bodyguard had to be at least 6'4", maybe 6'5", with solid sculpture backed onto every inch of his powerful frame. Longish black hair graced his